see, we have a special guest. Yes, Pepper, thank you for saying hi. Hello. I hope you're used to that. It's going to be happening quite a lot. Yes, meow. You're fine. You can lay down. I have not done this in a really long time. Hello. Hello. It's good to be back temporarily, of course. I don't get to teach tomorrow, so I'm going to teach today. And this isn't just for my kids in my classes. This is for anybody who's willing to listen. So I hope you're ready. This could be so much fun. I'm locked in. It's currently 10:35 and we are going to get rolling. So I got back from the Calgary rally a couple of hours ago, and there was thousands of people, teachers, students, parents, guardians, allies in general, gathered outside of the McDougall Center in Calgary, wearing red, protesting the current standards of education in our province. So that was awesome. It was really, really cool to see. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, so that's another first. Bang, checked off. But I got back home and it was fun to be there, be around like-minded people who understand how important education is, but I feel like it's important to be able to have a conversation. And I don't necessarily want to put anybody through an hour of me blabbing, so I'm just going to do it, and whoever listens, listens. Word. The day I'm recording this is October 5th, and it's World Teacher Day, which makes it a perfect day to stand in support and in solidarity of public education. For those of you who don't know, Alberta Teachers are going on strike Monday, October 6th, for the first time since 2002. Schools are going to be locked. All classes and extracurricular activities that are run by teachers are being cancelled, and approximately 700,000 students across Alberta's public and Catholic, Francophone, and separate schools will be forced to stay at home. I want to start off by saying a couple of things. First of all, I'm just a dude who educates the youth. I did my research on this. I put my sources at the bottom of the YouTube video, in the description of the Spotify link. So I implore you to do your own research, make your own opinions. I also want to say I am not speaking on behalf of anybody other than myself. I don't really have the power to do that. These are my own opinions that I've gathered based on my experience in the classroom, as well as the evidence that I read today in preparation for sitting here and talking to you guys. So I really hope you understand, a lot of this is anecdotal evidence from my own experience, some numbers from my colleagues, and various sources that, like I said, you can see in the description of either the video or the audio link for you to scroll through and read through and understand what the situation is looking like right now in Alberta. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Keaton Taylor, and I'm currently in my third year of teaching science and biology at William Aberhart High School in Calgary, Alberta. The whole goal of this episode for me is to give you some insight into my own experiences teaching in Alberta, the current conditions of the schools, and some clarity towards what I personally would ask from the government of Alberta, if it were up to me, which it is not. Because I'm talking about my opinions, I don't make the rules. Okay, I'm glad that's clear. I also want to say that I'm not going to be using this time to bash any specific political parties. I don't really believe that this is a left versus right issue. I believe that this is a systemic deterioration of our educational system that has been impacted by various different things in the last 23 years, or since the teachers went on strike last. As of September 2025, William Aberhart plays host to 1,300 students, Our school was built in 1957, and other than the portables added to the back of the building, a majority of the original infrastructure is still being used. Our school has 54 classrooms, including the 4 portables and the 2 science labs, 1 full-size gymnasium, and a smaller auxiliary gym, which all of those need to house 1,300 students every single day. Currently, I'm teaching 2 sections of Science 10 and 1 section of Bio 30. So my period 1, I have 33 students. My period 3, I have 38 students. And my period 4 class, I have 35 students. Please understand that this episode is coming from the perspective of a high school teacher. Everything that I say is reflective of my own experience, and every teacher that's in this province is going to have a different experience on this. So I implore you to talk to as many teachers as you know and have them tell you how they feel and what's going on. I implore you to talk to the people that you can, the MLAs, write them, call to them. Don't just sit there and accept the fact that this is happening, because it's important for us to say education is important, and like if we're not willing to stand up for it, future generations are being hurt. And if future generations are being hurt, like the way the world is going to develop will be significantly impacted, especially in our little Albertan bubble, based on what happens over the next however many weeks, however many months, who knows how long it'll take. I'm also currently teaching in the largest school sector in Alberta, and I can attest that many of the colleagues I've talked to, the issues that I have encountered are happening in classrooms all over the province. So I implore you to go scroll down to the description and take a look at some of the class sizes my colleagues are currently dealing with in their classrooms this year. Having been a student at William Aberhart from 2015 to 2018, and I want you to take into consideration again before I tell you about the experience that this is a public school. So this experience is offered to anybody within our zone, like our catchment area, if you will, that is fed into one of our programs from one of our junior high feeder schools. So this experience can and is continuing to be offered to kids in the northwest of Calgary every single day. So I know what it's like to learn in that building, and it's one of the coolest experiences in the entire world. The teachers at the school are working tirelessly to make sure that the kids that are in the hallways are having the best possible high school experience. And I know that the same can be said about classrooms all across the province. One of my colleagues likes to say that aid provides a private school experience at a public school price, and that's awesome, and it's lots of fun, and the kids deserve it. But if our numbers, enrollment numbers, continue to increase and the funding continues to stay stagnant or decrease, then it's extremely, extremely difficult to be able to bring the same experiences that I had to the multiple generations of kids that are coming after years and years of alumni that I'm sure have walked through these hallways. I'm sure. I look at these pictures every single day. Like, what am I talking about? Anyways. Across my 3 years at Aberhart, I was fortunate enough to experience a multitude of different things. I got to volunteer at fundraisers and open houses. I got to continue to learn and grow through the game of basketball. I got to travel to Red Deer and Edmonton and Lethbridge for tournaments. I took career and life management in the Rocky Mountains, and we got to go whitewater rafting and horseback riding, and it was incredible. We had water fights in Canmore Park with the entire school at the end of the year. There was an end of the year barbecue or activity fair or both every year with food and music and bouncy castles. We got to hike, we got to camp and go on countless other trips in Phys Ed 30. We got to go see Shakespeare live in English. I also got to watch countless Aberhart football, soccer, and volleyball teams win championships. I was lucky enough to win my own championship with Aberhart basketball in 2017. That was the greatest experience ever at the time because I got to hang out with my best friends every single day, playing the game I loved, and by the end of the year, at least in the second division, we were the best, and that was a really, really good feeling. So, yeah, that was nice. I got to earn my high school diploma, my French immersion certificate. I got recruited to play ACAC basketball, and I finally got accepted to the University of Alberta at the end of the whole ordeal. And what did I choose to go study? Biology, because it's super cool, and education, because none of the things that I just explained to you would have happened without my parents, my coaches, and most importantly, my teachers. In hindsight, when I was in school, I'm sure the classes were full, but like as a kid, you're really having a good time, or at least I was having a good time, so it wasn't really, I didn't notice how full the classes were. I was having a good time. But as I transitioned into my practicum with the University of Alberta at Ross Shepherd in 2022 and 2023, I was teaching sections of Science 10 and Science 10 AP that both, well, there's three of them, that had 32 to 35 students in each. And that was while I was helping coach senior boys basketball and girls rugby. So including both of those teams, I had responsibilities to about 150 students. And you need to bear in mind, this was at a time that I was still trying to get my certification in teaching because I hadn't graduated from university yet. So when I was there at Ross Shepherd, they had approximately 2,200 students. And last year, according to data from Edmonton Public Schools, they had 2,377 students. In most sane people's minds, alarm bells are probably ringing, saying, hey, your career might be very, very difficult. You're going to be tired. Hello, that's a lot of children that all of the teachers, all of the educational assistants, basically every adult in the building is responsible for. You're responsible for guiding them, their development as human beings, as academics, as athletes over the course of 3 years. And it's the greatest job in the world, but it's a lot. But luckily, me and tens of thousands of other teachers in this province aren't necessarily sane. We decided to continue to push forward and make sure that the students that are in our classrooms are getting the experiences they deserve. After living in Edmonton for 2 years and graduating from the University of Alberta in the spring of 2023, I made the same decision that any sane Calgarian would, and I moved right back home. Immediately moved right back home. I started subbing with the Calgary Board of Education in May of 2023, and I had a really, really good last 2 months to the end of the school year. I got the opportunity to substitute teach science, biology, social studies, and physical education at a bunch of different schools all over the city. Some of the most memorable include Forest Lawn, which is a great school, and they have a very welcoming phys ed department, and the kids have lots of very, very, very entertaining energy. There's Joan Cardinal Schubert in the south, which looks like a college campus, and again, the kids have really good energy. Central Memorial has some of the most artistic kids I've ever met in my life, and whether I'm willing to admit it or not, as a kid who went to GP Vanier, Branton is a really, really good school, and the kids that are there are getting a really good experience. So during my time as a substitute, I was able to find 5 days of work a week without any particular struggle, because there is a shortage of teachers in Alberta right now. A lot of the most qualified people in the profession are leaving the profession because of the increased job complexity, because of class sizes ballooning, because of student needs continuing to get more and more complex, but also in terms of the resources being given to the teachers to handle them either being the same or decreasing. As well as lack of wage increases relative to inflation, the lack of funding for school resources and students with complex learning needs, and the lack of support from the government of Alberta. So when teachers are sick, the most qualified subs are usually busy covering multi-day assignments, leaves of absence at schools across the city. But despite having a roster of 2,000 plus substitute teachers in 2024-25, the CB was still experiencing shortages to cover last-minute teacher absences due to illness, family emergency, etc. I want to talk about my experience. Obviously, I've only had 3 years. Like, I can't sit here and say, "Oh, this is the hardest thing I've ever done my entire life. This is crazy. I'm 2 days from retiring." Like, I'm, in the grand scheme of things, have barely done anything. But it's not like I haven't been in the classrooms and I haven't seen. So I really want to talk about my experiences in the last 3 years and how that relates to some of the experiences that other teachers in the province might be experiencing in terms of the job complexity. So in my first year at Aberhart in the second semester, I was teaching Science 10, Math 10-3, 10-4 split, Social 10-2, 10-4 split. This meant daily I was marking, planning, and teaching 3 different disciplines, which amounted to hours and hours of unpaid work and severe lack of sleep, man. Like, so much missed sleep. And it's okay, because it's like, you love your job. And when you walk into the classroom, the kids give you energy you don't know that you have. But sleep is very important for every single person. So, when I was in social studies, I had 31 students. And of those 31 students, 13 of them were English language learners. Meaning, we're both learning social studies and building an entire English language vocabulary. 9 of them were ALP students requiring different programming called knowledge and employability programming, and they also had various complex needs. One of the kids in the class had various complex needs when it came to learning, and he was also prone to outbursts. And in most people's situations, that would be very difficult. Having only 8 prototypical kids in a classroom, that was very difficult for me. But thankfully, I had the greatest EA in the world, and the school that I work at has an incredible learning leader at the head of the ALP program, so we got through the semester. I was doing social, plus I was doing a math class that was similar in complexity, even if it was smaller in size, and then teaching science. My class schedule that semester is what people in the profession would refer to as a dog's breakfast, and it was exhausting. Deeply, deeply exhausting. But it's not like I'm not going to do the work. Like I said, it's more important for us as individuals to be there for all of the kids that are in the room for the whole semester. So whatever we need to do in terms of making sure the materials are there, in terms of making sure the kids are learning, in terms of making sure we're checking in not only on their academic paths, but how are you doing today? You're a person. You're in this building with a bunch of people that care about you, and we see you every day. I hope you know you're doing well, right? Those are the type of things you got to be responsible for. But I also got to do laundry. I also got to pay the bills. I also got to hang out with my cat. I also got to take care of my cat. And it's I love my cat, but that's a lot of work. I love my job, but that's a lot of work. I've learned in my young life that life is a lot of work. And I hope that's something you could take away. Sorry. No matter what it was, whether I was making new projects for social, whether I was gamifying math for a very reluctant audience, or whether I was finding whatever reserves of energy were left to be able to create shared resources and align my assessments and my assessment practices with the rest of the science department, the work was going to get done because every single student in the classroom deserved the work to get done. Please keep in mind, at this time, I was 22. I graduated, at this time, Please keep in mind, at this time, I was 23. This was my first full year of teaching. I was having a great time, but it was a lot. I was also the assistant coach for the senior boys basketball team, and by the end of the semester, I was a shell of a human being. And this is only one experience shared amongst 50,000 teachers in Alberta. So I'm not saying every single one of those 50,000 teachers has an experience that is unlike or akin to mine. But this is my experience. I live it every single day. I love it every single day. But it's very, very hard every single day. I also want to talk about the lack of wage increase relative to inflation. All of the information and the numbers and the math that I did are based on publicly available documents that are linked in the description. So by all means, go scroll through them, do your own math, and please learn. I'm trying to learn. I think it's very important for us all to learn so that we can get into the classroom and back to helping the students as soon as possible. The last offer from the government of Alberta consisted of a 12% pay increase over the next 4 years and the acceleration of the Grand Prairie Public School Board pay grid. This compared to the less than 6% raise the teachers have received since 2015. In the same time period, the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, which can be used as an indicator for inflation in Alberta, has risen from 133.7 to 168.9, which is approximately a 26% increase in the same time period. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm pretty sure there's at least 8% missing from the offer put forth from the government and that increase of 26% in the CPI since 2015, or in the same time period. The second thing was a $750 No. The next thing was a $750 million investment to hire a total of 3,000 new teachers over the next 3 years. I'm going to direct you directly to the ATA Local 38's Instagram page, and you can just look at the graphics of how many new teachers each school could hire if CBE schools received the national average of student funding. Eberhard alone could hire 23.09 more teachers. We need to at least match the national average of funding per student, which according to the ATA is $13,692 compared to the Albertan rate of $11,464 per student. The third thing they offered was the removal of the teacher benefit switch from Sun Life to ASEBP coverage, which was problematic for some members of the union. The fourth thing was providing voluntary access to COVID-19 vaccines. And the fifth thing is that outside of the collective agreement, they are going to hire 1,500 new full-time equivalent teacher assistants to support classroom inclusion and begin to address complexity issues. But in short, what would I be asking me personally? Again, I am advocating for me personally, the government of Alberta for before I would be willing to step back into my classroom. Again, if this was up to me, it is not up to me. It's not up to me. Class size caps that are gradually introduced over the next few years, in addition to breaking ground on schools and portables to house the influx of Alberta's new students. An increase in funding for hiring new full-time equivalent teachers proportional to the increase in student population. For my 3 years of experience, I would be willing to teach a class of 30 or multiple classes of 30. But I also know there's a lot of colleagues of mine who say that is still way too many kids. Additional EAs, resources, and training for complex learning needs, at least matching the national student average and proportional to the increase in the student population. An increase in funding in all other educational programs that match the national student average and are proportional to the increase in student population, and a wage that correlates with the degree of inflation in Alberta in the last 10 years. Alberta education is awesome. If you apply out of province, depending on where you're going, you're going to get a boost on your GPA in grade 12 for your applications into university because we write the regulated diploma exams. And for these standards in Alberta to continue to be at the best they can, it is so important for us to fund education. Like, it's really frustrating that we have to sit here and have a conversation about putting money into making our kids smarter. Your kids benefit from educators every single day. Every single day. People in general have good days, bad days, but the kids learn, the teachers teach, and all of us get better for it. So whatever we can do to be able to continue to do that is all that really matters, in my personal opinion, because I'm talking about my experience. To all of my students, my athletes, their parents, and guardians, I personally cannot wait to get back to work. I'm infuriated that it's come to this point because all I want to do is teach and coach basketball. That's all I want to do. I'm concerned because all of the kids deserve to be in the classroom learning, and all of the kids at our school deserve to be in the hallways getting to live through the Aberhart experience, not sitting at home worrying about what's going to happen, worrying about their futures. I hope every single one of you understand that all I want to do is teach. However, for the benefit of you and every single one of our other current and future students in Alberta schools, we're going on strike tomorrow. And we are doing this in solidarity for the quality and the funding of your education. And hopefully this little tidbit just gives you a little more insight on the classrooms, on what some of the teachers may be experiencing, what I experience every single day, and that we just want to do our job, man. And I'm really excited to be able to do that. So hopefully people can sit down that make these decisions, because it's not us, not me. People that are in the community can talk to their MLAs, can send the letters, can call, can make sure that we're putting pressure on the government of Alberta in general, no matter who is occupying it at the time, that education is very, very, very important. And it's important for us to be able to continue and excel. Because in my personal opinion, while I affectionately call Alberta the Texas of Canada, this is not Texas. I don't want to live in Texas. I want to live in Alberta with beautiful people who sing the Canadian national anthem, and some people with some really funny accents. Apparently we have accents. I don't believe you. It's fine. All that matters is that we spend time learning and that this time is not wasted. Because once again, there is 700,000 kids across this province that are going to be severely impacted starting tomorrow morning because we have not been able to achieve an agreement that concerns all of the things I detailed and that the government would be willing to give. So hopefully in the coming however long, I can't give you a time period, the two sides can sit down at the table, put a deal together that they can send to the teachers, that the teachers can accept. So we can go back to teaching. I can teach Bio 30, Science 10, coach basketball. Every other teacher in the province can go back to doing what they're supposed to. The kids can go back to having a great time, learning, being in their schools, being in their routines. I don't know, man. Hopefully you learned something. And if you didn't, hopefully you had fun. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. Nah, there's no way you didn't have fun. I had fun. So there's no way you didn't have fun. Anyways, Pepper, do you have anything to say to the people? No. That is rare. Good night. I'm going to bed. It was a good day. The one thing I would want to say, wherever I put this in, is that if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to make sure that I'm including pictures and videos from the rallies that have happened so far across Alberta. if you are in the area, you have a kid, or you have a nephew or a niece, or you have a friend who has a kid who's in education, or you had a teacher at some point in your life, and you think books and the things that are in books are important, wear some red. Go out, support the children, and help the government understand that education is important. Every single day, what we do is important, and the kids deserve the best. They deserve the best. Good night. Good night. Oh, and I'll see you when I see you. That's very important.